right, welcome back to C-Level Skill, the podcast where we sit down with some of the most powerful leaders and innovators in business today. For those new to the channel, I'm Sam and I work directly with fast-scaling AI companies, helping entrepreneurs and executives to leverage AI to build high-growth businesses. And today, I'm joined by Jessica from AO2 Management, an Amazon-first omni-channel partner helping brands to scale with a tight blend of PPC, creative, and Amazon operations. Jessica, great to have you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Cool. So yeah, I just gave you a short introduction about what you guys do, but for the people who don't know you, tell us, what do you do and what does AO2 Management do?
Yeah, so what do I do? So just quick background on me. I have been in the e-commerce industry now for about 20 years or close to it.
Whoa.
I started out,
Cool.
I started out in the brand side in toy manufacturing, which is always super fun to talk about. Did that for about 10 years, and then I made the shift over more into the service provider side. I just learned so much. Getting started in the early days of e-commerce and having to figure it all out as I went, that really gave me a great basis then for moving to the service provider side, initially in a tech/managed service, and now specifically in the managed service agency space, to be able to help brands grow, because I understand really what their business is like from, creation of the product to getting it sold on whatever platform it might be. So that's who I am. That's my background. And then AO2, we're actually, you're catching us at a really interesting time. So AO2 Management was acquired almost 2 months now. So it's been almost 60 days in July.
Oh, cool.
We were acquired by Barrel Holdings, and so now we're part of an umbrella of a larger group of agencies who all service the e-commerce space. So AO2 remains focused on Amazon first. We do some Walmart, and we dabble in some other areas, creative SEO things to help with the listings on both Amazon and Walmart. And then now, as part of the Barrel family, we have sister agencies who help with Shopify, with design, with Webflow, with a bunch of different things in the e-commerce space. So we can really be a great partner for a lot of brands across the entirety of their e-commerce business.
Yeah, super cool. And I think, especially with your experience, because you've been in the space for 20 years, is what you're saying. Like, what shifts are you seeing now? Because I think there's a lot of e-commerce store owners now with AI and thinking, and also agency owners, because like a bunch of our audience is agency owners. Like, what shifts are you seeing now with AI in e-commerce and in the agency world that are really, really mattering to talk about?
Yeah, I think that there's so much that's happening, and it's happening so quickly.
Yeah,
Specific to the Amazon space, I'd say what is on my radar, and it's not necessarily, it's less about how agency owners or brands, what they should be doing or embracing, and what they need to be aware of, for me, that the other platforms are doing that you have to prepare for. So like specifically in the Amazon space, Amazon's introduced, Rufus. That's now it's an AI feature that's part of search, part of interacting on Amazon.com.
Yeah.
That is changing how consumers search, how consumers find things on Amazon. And in turn, then that is changing how brands need to position themselves for that AI search and interaction, right? Because now if a shopper goes to Amazon and they ask Rufus, this AI agent, a question about something, Rufus is going to give feedback. It's going to give search results. They can do it right on the product page, and it's going to give information. And so now brand owners are really having to think about how, or I would even say similarly, agency owners or, leaders in the e-commerce space are having to think about the same way ChatGPT, like, how are you going to show up in AI? When someone asks Rufus on Amazon about something related to your product, how do you make sure that you are showing up there, or that the right information? And the same thing is true of, service providers or that sort of thing with like ChatGPT or those other things. Like, now a lot of people aren't going to Google to find out like who's the best answer for this or how do I do this thing. They're going to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is going to return those results, and you want to be in those results. So you have to be thinking about how do you optimize for AI before you even start thinking about how you're using AI in your business, which is important. And you need to be doing that concurrently so that you're saving time and can focus on these other things. But like that immediate thing you need to be doing
Yeah.
is how are you optimizing for those things? How are you staying relevant as AI changes search and, that sort of thing?
Exactly. And I think that's super interesting to touch on because, of course, you just mentioned that you guys got acquired. I don't know if you're still involved as a director or as a partner. Okay, so you are. So you've built probably an amazing agency if you got acquired by such a big holding. But how are you guys like? What's something behind the curtain that most people wouldn't realize about what it actually takes to run such a machine that you guys are running?
Yeah, so I'll also just want to give credit where it's due there. So Nathan Neely founded AO2, and
Okay.
I have just been luckily to be a part of it the last 2 years. So I was sitting in the president's seat before the acquisition, and now that we've been acquired, I am acting as CEO of the company while Nathan has
Oh,
stepped
cool.
back. So I've been a leader in the company for a couple of years now, but
Cool.
Nathan really built it from the ground up. And then I'll say over the last 2 years, I'll take some credit for what we did together to get
So
it to a
so it
place where
takes
it
a
could be
Nathan.
acquired.
It takes a Nathan to build this machine. Is
Yeah,
what you're saying.
it was his idea. He built it out of a couple of other agencies. He did an acquisition first that made AO2 kind of the size and something that was interesting to people. And then I came in with my actual brand and agency experience to help then get it ready for the next acquisition. So I will take some credit for it, but I want to throw that out there as well.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
sorry now that I've shared that. Can you repeat your question?
Yes, I was saying, what does it take? Because I think that's a dream of any agency owner to get acquired at some point. Like, but if you look behind the curtain, what's something that people not obviously instantly would realize about what it takes to keep such a machine that you guys built to keep that running?
Yeah, it's I think two things really. We've done a really great job of building with expertise. So bringing in someone like myself who has almost 2 decades in the industry, bringing in people who have worked at Amazon and know what's behind the curtains there and can help our brand. So, bringing in a lot of experts in their particular area and being able to support our clients with people who truly know what they're doing in this space. That's
Yeah,
number one, right? We could do any kind of efficiencies, anything behind the scenes to try and make ourselves look good and position ourselves properly from a marketing standpoint. But if we can't actually back it up with good fulfillment, good service for our clients, it's not going to go anywhere. So that's number one. And then number two, really, I think, is the efficiency of scale. And so as all of the new AI tools have come out, as all of these opportunities, it used to just be build a process and then, in a quarter later, revise that process and keep trying to make things run smoother and more efficiently. And now we have some additional tools, but that's really critical because just like any business, margins can be slim in the agency
yeah,
space. And
yeah.
when we're trying to take care of a lot of clients and build a client base at a volume that makes sense to support the number of people, because as I talked about, bringing in the
That's it.
experts, every
Yeah,
account we work with, we have, account director who sits over the department and the team to do strategy, but we also have a client facing account manager. We have PPC people involved. We have operations people involved. We have a creative team.
yeah.
And so there's a lot of expense in each team. And so we need to make sure that we are doing everything we can with those people
Yeah.
as efficiently as possible.
Super cool. I think to touch, you said something critical about systems and AI tools that you guys are using. I think that's something really, really cool to zoom in on. So if you look at where you guys are going now, so maybe let's first talk about what's next for AO2. Like what's the next chapter you guys are heading
Yeah.
towards?
I'm so glad that you asked that because we did not prepare any questions in advance and I didn't know what you were going to ask, but that's something I'm really excited
That's what we
about
love,
right
raw conversations.
So right now we are very excited because of the acquisition. We're really kind of shaking things up. We have
Okay.
always been an agency that can provide Amazon DSP, marketing services. So the true retail media, getting in there and getting beyond the walls of Amazon. And we've
Yeah.
never done a great job of sharing that far and wide. We've never done a great
Okay.
job of, of saying this is like a core product that we're going to lean into because the brands that come to us don't know as much about that, right? So they're coming and saying, I need PPC support, I need operations support. And we're saying, we've got you on that. And then if someone happens to mention DSP, or we happen to scale someone to a point where they can embrace that, then we're introducing it. And so now we're really looking to flip that and be DSP and AMC first, and really attract the brands that can lean into those things. So we're really excited to start like positioning ourselves for this thing that we've always been doing. We've had a DSP seat since the last acquisition, since the Seller Lab days. And we've been in the space and we've been doing it for almost a decade now.
Exactly. Yeah, that's also the thing, of course, experience. And I'm interested, like, how is that weaving into each other? So you're saying a few things. Like, of course, you're using systems and AI tools, and the next chapter is then acquiring these new brands. What's the game plan for that? And maybe that's also interesting to touch on for agency owners watching. Like, what's the hardest part for you guys to turning that vision into repeatable, scalable revenue?
Yeah. So I think, the hardest part in making that pivot is the like repositioning of who AO2 is, to kind of go after those brands and those sellers who are looking for support with DSP, which is a bigger spend, and it isn't exclusively top of funnel, but it is much more top of funnel. It's a different brand than we've been going after, and that means like we're kind of changing up our whole pipeline. We have to be okay for a little while with sitting with what we've got and waiting for the big fish.
And how are you executing on that? That's interesting. Like, how are you executing on that in like the day-to-day operations to... That's interesting for people. I'm always trying to make it like as sort of an instruction manual. Like, this is exactly what we're doing now to move in that direction.
I think for us, it all goes back to that efficiency. So what are we doing with the AI tools? What are we doing with reporting? Who are the reporting partners that we're partnering with to get the data that we need, the insights that we need, so our team doesn't have to do as much work, so that they can just kind of get from point A to point Z without stopping at every point along the way. So a big piece of that is, empowering our team with the tools that they need so that they can fulfill on the day-to-day without a lot of extra insights from the leadership team, so that we as a leadership team now can focus instead of just having a sales team or a salesperson in a lot of cases. Like, it's not like we have a massive team out there going and knocking on doors and trying to find these clients. We have a sales executive, and therefore giving our team what they need to be able to go and fulfill and do the job without us being involved in leadership now, being able to make that pivot. I think that's been one of the biggest changes and one of the like most gratifying things, because now we can go out, I can go to shows, I can be the one selling. And for me, selling isn't a hard sell of like, you should come work with us. It's like meeting a brand, meeting a smaller agency owner, and understanding their needs and their problems, and figuring out how we can support them, or if we can't support them right now, if they're not at that place in their journey, figuring out who I can introduce them to in my ecosystem, how to become like friends and long-term partners so that eventually we can work together. But that's the biggest shift. How are we going after that new audience? Is enabling the leadership team to go out and actually become the relationship salespeople.
Yeah, and how are you guys doing that? Because I think it's interesting, because still every agency owner is always thinking of this struggle, like, how do I get more customers? How do I get more partners? Of course, retaining them is a whole different story, but they're constantly on the move. How do I get these new ones? And I think it's maybe interesting to talk about that, because your guys are actually in that position back now because you made this pivot. So what is the plan to acquire those new stores basically on Amazon and get them in the base?
I think it's about, looking at new avenues. And so, without giving away too much of a secret niche that we've tapped into. But I think there's enough.
We're looking for the secret sauce.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah,
How are you? What's the strategy?
Go after this, but I don't think this is any surprise to anyone. There is a big, in the Amazon space, a lot of agencies focus on like Amazon native brands. Mm-hmm. There are so many brands that are launching on Amazon that they saw a product and they thought they could make it better. And so therefore they introduced their new version of it and they jumped right into Amazon versus, even 5 years ago, definitely 10 years ago, most brands still started out with a traditional like retail journey and sold offline and then eventually, expanded to Amazon. So most agencies are very focused on that Amazon native brand because that's who's reaching out to them. That is who is in the same spaces that we are online and find us online. And so I think expanding where you're looking to connect with brands is huge. There are tons of brands who are now launching on TikTok that want to make that change into Amazon. So find those TikTok networks, find those brands that are selling on TikTok that haven't launched on Amazon yet, but who have done a, economy of scale on TikTok, and start connecting with those brands. The same is true for Shopify. So many brands now have come out of, out of the gate onto Shop. I'm just going to start a Shopify store and be D2C. And now they're ready to expand outside of the walls of their own D2C store. Those are great new opportunities and areas to be expanding. So I think that is like one route you can take, is just looking for different areas to find brands, or different avenues that, aren't tapped in the Amazon space as much. And then I think the other thing is that we've really found is helpful is figuring out where are your successes? So if you work really well with supplements, or you will work really well with CPG or natural foods, lean into those, because you have case studies to back it up. And then you go to the events where you're going to meet a bunch of brands in that space, and you now have the case study to say, we did this for brands in your niche. And you also have the brands that you've worked with who love working with you to make those introductions. And it's much easier than to go to one trade show, meet 10 brands who fit that, ICP, and start working with them. So those are the two things that we've really found that have helped us to expand a little bit more quickly within the new ICP that we're going after.
That's cool. And I think it's also super, super cool to get maybe a bit of an insight. If you guys had a magic wand and you could, boom, resolve any issue, or maybe not issue, but thing that would speed up because I think you guys are really, that's good to have you on here, really focus on scale now, right? New markets, new avenues, getting more stores in. If you had a magic wand and one thing that would really speed up the process for you guys or fix a problem, what would that be specifically for you guys with the vision you have now?
Data analytics, without a doubt. And I would love to be able to say to you, we're here to talk about AI and how we're using it, and let me tell you how to be an expert in this thing. I don't have the solution, so maybe one of your watchers will be able to reach out to me. But this is what we're looking for, and this is the problem that I am looking to solve with AI right now. So I don't have the solution today. Maybe another 2 weeks from now, this is what we're working on. Understanding
how would that impact you guys? How would that impact you guys?
Being able to understand the trends within the industry and speak to certain things, being able to much more easily say within our client base, if you work with us to, have your Amazon brand store enhanced, not what Amazon says, because that's not always true across the board, but our experience is, if we enhance your Amazon store, you're going to see this lift in business. If you work with us for SEO, you're going to see this lift. We do a lot of work, and the industry does a lot of work, and that information is out there. But we haven't done a great job up until this point of collecting that data, analyzing it, and being able to publish white papers or even internal tools for us to understand what's the lift, how can we talk about this, how can we then upsell current clients, and how can we bring in new clients based on that, and how can we revamp our services. It basically would touch every part of our business, right? The sales, the current clients, everything could be enhanced by being able to get a better grip on our data and understand it, and also bring in some of that industry-wide data. Because
you have the data. I would bet the data is on the shelves in all these systems. It's there. Yeah. It's now getting a grasp on it and actually executing it. I think that's a big thing, and that's why I asked this question. This is the answer I was looking for, sort of when you scale, you come up with all sorts of different problems, but you can also have more leverage, right? So if you can fix a bigger problem, you even have more leverage to get to that next level.
Absolutely.
So that's super cool. Yeah, and AI is definitely something to get to that next level. Super cool. Sure. I think super cool. I think there's a lot to take from that. And I wish I was saying, and here's how to do it, but I'm not there yet. So maybe give me a little while. I can come back on as a guest, and I can do a whole episode just on how we can help people scale on data analytics. Yeah, cool. And so and where would AO2 be in 5 years? Where would we see you guys? And how would it look like then in like 5 years from now?
So I think
assuming
at
that
that stage,
this gets fixed, of course.
yes, this will absolutely get fixed. It is, it's on the roadmap, and the AI tools are there to make it happen sooner rather than later. So it's definitely a sooner, fix, and we will be here in 5 years, and we will be, I think, we're always going to want to be helping clients with their day-to-day Amazon operations. I don't think that's going away, because that's such a passion of mine, because I lived that life for so long. And no matter what else is going on in the Amazon space, there's always going to be daily fires that come up that need fixing. And all of that 100% informs and impacts what we're doing with retail media and their digital advertising. But we are going to be, I think 5 years from now, we expect to be really known for digital media. We expect to be known for that agency that you come to for that full funnel and really reaching viewers and shoppers on platforms outside of Amazon all across e-commerce, and bringing that traffic to wherever, the brands want to see it. That's what we, right now we're kind of that Amazon first, omni-channel. We really help you with the day-to-day. That's our positioning, and that's changing. In 5 years from now, I want us to be seen as one of the major players in the retail media space.
Cool. I love that. Super cool. I think, you guys have already accomplished like super cool things. Really cool to have you on there and tell that story. And is there like, what's the biggest lesson you would tell like smaller agency owners that really want to get to, because this is everyone, agency owners really like what you guys have accomplished with this organization and getting acquired. Like, what's the biggest lesson as a final thought you would give to them and say, hey, really remember this, and then you can make it happen?
I love this question, because it's something I did actually get the opportunity to say to an agency owner, because I was operating next to Nate, right? Nate was the founder. He was the owner. I was just getting to run the day to day. And the biggest thing I noticed when I came in was that like he needed to be more strategic and less scrappy. As a startup, as an agency owner, there's going to be a certain amount of scrappy in there no matter what. But if you can't ever get out of being scrappy, if you're always just trying to do the best you can with what you have and plug in something here and plug in a person here and overstretch people, you're really never going to scale. You always have to remember that there's some degree of strategy that is required, and for growth, there needs to be more strategy than there needs to be scrappiness. And being able to plan out, what do you want this year to look like? What do you want next year to look like? And then sticking to those plans. And then the scrappiness comes in and like actually executing on that stuff. You have to have the strategy. You have to have a plan. You have to stick to it to achieve that growth, to get to the point where someone else is going to take notice and you have something worth selling.
And how did you guys resolve that? How did you overcome the scrappiness in the agency to get to where you are now?
The biggest thing for us was realizing that we couldn't do it all. And, there was a point where we wanted to do Amazon, Walmart, Google, Meta, TikTok, emails, blogs, website design. Like, if a client asked for it, we said, sure, we can do that. And then we figured out who on the team can do this. And that was not working for us. And it took us a really long time to accept that more business wasn't always better business. And we just needed to focus in on what we were the best at. And then once we get really, really good at that one thing, then we can add the next thing and get really, really good at that. And then you suddenly become a much larger business with departments who all, handle each individual thing. But we couldn't be a small business that did all of those things with the same people executing on all of those things. This is nothing new to anyone, but we couldn't do all of that well. We needed to do something well and then scale it.
Exactly. I think that's a super powerful lesson for smaller agency owners and businesses in general. Before you hit like 1 million ARR or 1 million in revenue, focus on one ICP, one avatar, one channel, one product to deliver. Yep. And then you can really, really scale when you got that dialed in. I think that's a major lesson. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard lesson to learn. It's hard to turn down money.
Yeah, so that's the thing. What I always learned is like, hey, you can make mistakes yourself, but you better learn from someone else's mistakes. And you guys, I think, are super cool example to learn from. Cool. Yeah, thank you. I think we got a lot of insights from this episode. So really appreciate that you took the time for us to share that with us. So
thank you for having me. I really, really enjoyed this. This is my favorite unscripted, just come in and have those conversations. It's my favorite way to do it. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's the idea that we try to pursue. So yeah, thank you. Cool, guys. Okay, that's a wrap for today. I'm sure you guys got value from this episode. Make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss anything that's gonna come, because we're just getting started and we're already getting these cool guests on. So, and if you're serious about scaling with AI, go check our site, asapsolutions.ai, where we share tools and strategies and the plays that we're using right now to build the next generation of businesses that are powered by AI. So remember, opportunities don't wait. Executions win. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Cool.